Hey everyone, welcome to this new episode of In the Studio. Today we're here with Cheska Navarro, a film composer and educator, and we're going to talk all about her journey, her music, her content. So, welcome, Cheska. It's great to have you here.
Thank you, Bart. I'm really excited.
How have you been? How's everything over there in San Diego?
It's been good. It's been almost 2 years since I left my job as a scientist, and now that I've experienced kind of like the ups and downs of like working for yourself, I'm I'm like surprisingly calm. Like last year at this time, I was like kind of panicking about like, oh, what am I gonna do? Like, gotta pay the bills and like, whatever. So it's I feel good. Life is
Great.
good.
That's great. That's great to hear. And that's exactly where I wanted to go first, to talk about your journey, because I think everyone has their own journey, and every journey is so different to compare to another. Uh, but I find yours especially quite unique and quite inspiring. So I was just wondering if you could give us a quick overview of how you went from basically being a scientist to making music for films.
Yeah. Um, so my whole life, I thought I was gonna go into medicine, and everyone that I talked to, my parents, my friends, people around me at school, they all kind of saw me as this really like driven, smart person who could do whatever they wanted. But for whatever reason, like my parents really wanted me to go into medicine, make them proud, whatever. And I never questioned that. But it wasn't until I was like halfway through university and I realized, like, what am I doing? Like, I don't even want to be a doctor. So I kind of looked at, my interests at that point, which were very, um, like varied, I guess. I liked music, I like languages, I like movies, I like art. And I was like, okay, if I'm not gonna do medicine, like what else can I do? And I came to the conclusion that I had been secretly working on music like the entire time. And so like why not give it a shot? And because I liked movies also, I was like, maybe I'll make music for movies. That thought never occurred to me before, even though I grew up listening to like soundtracks that I liked and, you know, love John Williams, just like every other composer out there.
Yeah.
And so when I made that shift, I think I was like 19 or 20 years old. And from then on, I was like, okay, I need to get like a foundation underneath me. I need to start practicing how to make music like on a computer. I need to learn how to like approach a scene musically, and I also need to learn how to find clients. So I guess maybe it's because of my science background, but I started to look at building a career as something that I could reverse engineer and figure out along the way. And I kind of just went for it. So I, in the spirit of like a scientist, I also started documenting my work online,
Yeah.
not so much to get an audience, but just for myself, to keep track of what I was learning, where I am in my life, where I am in my career. And the big bonus of that was that yes, I attracted other composers, helped other people along the way, but also it was good for connecting with directors. And at that point, I was like, if I can just keep doing this, like figure out the problem that I need to solve, like finding a client, learning how to charge for my work, improving my production skills, whatever. If I just keep doing that, keep sharing it, like I'm good. Like marketing is taken care of. Reaching out to directors is the next big problem. So fast forward 2 years, I graduated from uni. I, at this point, have been posting on Instagram like somewhat consistently. And I realized, like, okay, I need to get projects like as soon as possible because I don't want to be working as a scientist forever. I was very depressed at my job. I hated it. I wanted to get out as soon as possible. There were no windows in the building that I worked in, and I was the youngest person there.
Mm.
So I felt incredibly isolated. But the good thing about that job is that it was extremely boring. And so I was on my phone a lot looking for directors. I was on the work computer looking for directors. And I came across a like post by someone promoting their Kickstarter campaign. And I was like, wait a second, if I just go to where people are raising funds for films and try and find the contact information of the director for films that I like, then maybe I can get my first projects. So
Mm.
that's exactly what I did. And within that first year, I got like 5 projects and all of them were paid. And when that happened, I remember having this moment where I was like, I could share this with people, or I could just keep it a secret and keep all these projects to myself.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, that's dumb. Like, you should share it. I was like, yeah, let's share it. So then I did that. And at first, people did not like flock to me the way that I thought they would. I thought it would be like, look, everyone, 3 gigs, like, come on, like,
Yeah.
the bar is fine, like,
Yeah.
whatever. And like, I don't know, people just didn't think that way. And then like I kept trying. Obviously, I didn't give up there, but eventually, one of my ex mentors, like we're not talking anymore. They realized what I'd been doing over the years, like sharing exactly what I was doing, be very transparent, and they confronted me about it. They're like, "What are you doing? You're a composer. You're not an influencer. You're not a content creator. Like just stay in your lane or something." And I was like what? What are you saying? Like I don't know. I never really questioned what I was doing. I was like, it's the right thing to do. Sharing the journey is the right thing to do. Um, but yeah, in a nutshell, that's what my life was like before I became a composer.
It's great. And you see a lot of composers that have to balance that content creator side of themselves with the composing side of themselves, because when you're starting out, you have to be everything: the composer and the agent and the orchestrator and the marketing designer and everything. And I was just wondering, once you developed that online presence, and not only developed that online presence, but also started being a mentor to those who wanted mentoring services, how did that influence, if it influenced at all, your relationship with making music? How did taking on that role as a content creator shape your role as a composer for film?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Honestly, I was really afraid to embrace the educational aspect of my business because it felt like it was pulling me away from music. And this is not a uncommon feeling,
Yeah.
but in that moment, I really felt that as a mentor, that I should be able to say that I have experience doing things. I never wanted to be someone who has only ideas and has never done them themselves.
Mm.
I never want to give advice that I've never applied to my own career. And so that's something I struggled with. And it's something that kept me from offering the services that I do offer now, which is less so about mentorship, but more about um, actually finding clients for composers because it is such a tedious process. Um, but yeah, there were a lot of insecurities that came up trying to embrace education. But I know that everything that I do as a composer just feeds back into everything that I do. So I no longer try to separate the two. I think about the conversations that I have with composers that I work with. And sometimes I learn something from them, and that's something I can apply to my own career. And that happens, both ways. Something I learned in my own career as a composer, I can bring into my conversations when I help, composers.
Yeah, I think that's great. That's really cool having that giving and then receiving kind of relationship with everyone, people who follow your content, directors you work with, mentees. Uh, so you've told us how you had this idea of writing to filmmakers who were on Kickstarter and Indiegogo and fundraising websites, and how you started finding projects through that idea. But I'm guessing at first it might have been just sending messages and then waiting to see what happens. But it has very clearly over time developed into a structured system that you've built. So I was just wondering, how did that process of building that system go? Like, how did you learn and develop this system that enabled you to find all the short films and feature documentary you've done and all these what projects you've done?
Mhm. Yeah, so this is where my background as a scientist came in handy. I was documenting exactly where I was finding projects and how many of them turned into paid projects. And over time, I realized that anywhere that filmmakers are online is where a composer who wants to work in film should be. So I actually stopped consuming content about how to be a composer for film and instead started learning about what it takes to be a successful filmmaker. So once I got a hold of the, crowdfunding sites, I started to look at YouTube as a place to discover filmmakers. So I started watching content about how to be a filmmaker and somehow I found my way to a filmmaker who was actually based in San Diego, and they became my first local client.
Mhm.
And I thought, okay, this could work no matter where you are in on the globe theoretically if you have a film community. And so I started to experiment with Google and type in like location, community, filmmaker collective. So I remember trying to help a Brazilian composer, but he's based on the East Coast. And I was like, okay, what if I looked up Brazilian Filmmaker Collective, and that'll take me through results in the US. And I did find a filmmaker collective for Brazilians only. And I'm like, wow, amazing. That was so easy. And the contact info is there. And, I was like, this is something that I could spend forever and ever, like going down, like, rabbit holes. Like, what else is there? And then I realized that every time I worked with a filmmaker, that when they posted their movies, it was always on Vimeo, very rarely YouTube. And I realized that Vimeo is built for filmmakers. So I started going on there to look for clients. And the really cool thing about Vimeo is that filmmakers actually use it to like network with themselves. And when you click on a profile on like a film on Vimeo, you actually get the filmmaker's website, their social media, their email address. And I was like, this is gold. Like someone needs to say something about this. So I just continually kept exploring like ideas that I had like that, wrote them down, and then just started sharing them immediately. Not because, I was having success right away, but because I thought the more people that I can get to try this, the more confident I can feel about this being like a real thing.
Hmm.
Because in the world of science, if you make a discovery and it's just you, it's not legit. Like you need other people to verify your work and to come to the same conclusions as you. So just because it worked for me doesn't mean it'll work for other people. So that's really kind of how the system grew. I just kept track of all those places, all those ideas I had about where to find filmmakers, and then just encourage people to try it. And what happened is that people started contacting me saying like, "Hey, I followed your advice and I got 2 projects." I'm like, "That's amazing." Um, and so from there, I really started to unpack my process, like the way that I thought about things, and that led me to create the gig hunting kit. And although it's not like a big part of my work now, I'm still really grateful that I made it because it really clearly outlines the way that I think about that process, like finding a filmmaker, not knowing who they are, you're a stranger, and like building that relationship with them and eventually getting the project. And to this day, I do the exact same thing. Like step one is like finding that filmmaker on one of the platforms like Vimeo, YouTube, crowdfunding site, film festival archives, IMDb, or like, all these places. And then from there, finding their contact information, doing your research. What kind of films do they do? What kind of person are they? Do you have anything in common with them? And then, step three, you're building that relationship with them. You're saying hello for the first time. Maybe you watched their film and it really moved you. Like, you should say that. Most people don't ever think to thank someone for making art. Um, and then, step four, hopefully you get a project. But if not, I mean, you made a friend. Like that's really what drives me and what drives the whole process. Like you're kind of just making friends with other artists. And getting paid as a composer is like the big cherry on top.
Hmm.
But um over time I've learned that if I put my relationship with that filmmaker first, that getting paid and getting paid well follows as a result of that. Like we both respect each other. They value me. I value them. Um, and it's, I don't know, it's not something composers really talk about. I think everyone's very enamored with the mock-ups and the recording sessions. And I know not everyone needs to be or should be an educator, but I also felt like really frustrated that I was the only one trying to get this out there. And I just thought, if I could just keep sharing stories of what I'm doing, how I'm doing it, and how I'm getting work, that like in some small way, like maybe I can have a positive impact, like on this little corner of the world. I'm not trying to change the world or anything, but hearing composers tell me that they got their first project because of something I shared just makes it all worth it for me.
I think that's really admirable, and I think it's great how you blended your scientific mind with your creative mind, because you basically made a discovery and you build your own experiment, you use the scientific method to find your answer, and then you peer reviewed it, and then you started sharing the results with everyone, and now everything
Yeah.
was better because of it. So I think that's great. um which you've kind of already gone over this, but my next question was, why do you think it's so important to reinforce not only the this way of finding gigs that you found, but also the importance of not hunting gigs, but maybe hunting directors you want to meet and talk with and connect with. Uh, so we've already kind of covered this, but why do you think nowadays, especially, that's an important message to share?
Yeah. I mean, it's so convenient to, you know, connect with people online. We're more accessible than ever. And I think now that we live in a world with AI and a lot of automation, and we spend more time on our screens, that making that extra effort to really connect with people and pour your heart into connecting with directors is more important than ever. I think what I did when I first started won't work now. And I constantly try and think about what can I do to go that extra mile and really show someone that I care. Um, I'm fat, like I'm really obsessed with stationery and like fountain pens and like writing and journals and stuff. And the other day I was watching a video about writing handwritten letters and like what that means today in a world where we're online so much. And when I think about why it's important to continue connecting with filmmakers this way, it always comes back to when we're living online, like what would I really like resonate with? Like if someone wrote me a handwritten letter, like what would that mean versus like just opening up a DM? Like any of us can send a DM now. Like when I first started, I I just told people like, hey, just, find the contact information of their Instagram and, send them a DM, say like, hey, I like your film. Do you need a composer? And like that worked at the time. But now I don't think that's enough. I think making that effort to find someone who really aligns with you, like what you value, and has like the potential to be a great director, those are the people that I really spend my time trying to pour my heart into. Um, but yeah, it's so important, especially since we're online.
I think, yeah, yes. Once again, I agree very much with the way you think. So let's go back to you, because we've kind of gone over this whole approach of hunting for gigs and how you discovered this and how you started sharing it with people and why do you think it's so important? Why you think it's so important to share it? So as you were doing this, you were basically starting your career as well because you were doing your first projects and you were like graduating from short films to feature documentaries. Uh, so how did because you said you were kind of secretly working uh, in music before deciding to make that change. So once you made the change and you started not only making music for yourself but music for other people's stories, how did your creative voice develop and grew as a composer?
Yeah. In the beginning, I felt very pressured to be an orchestral composer.
Mhm.
I thought like, the bigger the better, the flashier, the better the mock up, the more you're like if you're in front of an orchestra, like you look more legit as a composer. I was very attached to the idea of like a classic Hollywood John Williams type composer. And I thought that that's what I had to be in order to get paid well as a composer. And I was obviously very, very wrong. I eventually started to embrace the music that I loved in my personal life instead of forcing myself to be like the other orchestral composers. And so in the beginning, I was working on a variety of projects. I worked on like a sci fi horror thing, I did a dance film, I did like a rom com, I did like a little bit of
A
everything.
bit of everything.
And in the process of doing that, I realized like, okay, I don't like any of those films. I really like coming of age stories, like stuff where I can really see myself in. So from there, I started to kind of tailor my search to look for filmmakers who were doing this kind of stories that I liked. And because I am Filipino American, I thought like, okay, wouldn't it be cool to do a Filipino American coming of age story? Like, where are those filmmakers? And luckily, I'm in San Diego, which is like full of Filipino Americans. So I was like, okay, let's try that and see how I feel. And after doing my first projects with Filipino American directors about stories that I could relate to, I realized, wow, a lot of the music that I like kind of fits into like coming of age movies. Like I like Coldplay, I like indie, like pop indie rock, like kind of music. And I realized like that's what I naturally like to write. I stopped pressuring myself to learn about orchestration, about making realistic orchestral mockups, because the kind of music I was being asked to do was more like being in a like an indie band, like maybe some strings, but mostly guitar, bass, piano, synths. It wasn't anything like I thought I should be, doing. So I stopped pressuring myself, and then from there, I realized that people were starting to come to me for that kind of music. And instead of like questioning, what this is so easy, because it's easy means it's not valuable. I kind of just went with it. And I was like, okay, I'm the indie, coming of age person now. And even the first documentary that I did was like an indie coming of age story about a real person, the director that I was working with. And after that project, I was like, this is my thing. Like I could do this all day. But yeah, after that feature documentary, coming of age music, I was like, this is the only sign that I need. Like, this is it. And so from there, I that's all I do. If a project comes along and it's like in a different genre, um, I think I've grown enough to think about how to adapt that to my style instead of trying to do it how every other composer would do it or like the popular way of doing it. I have learned to embrace the weird things I like to do in my music. Like, I'm really passionate about using like ukulele as often as I can. And like on every single project, I have like this secret goal to use ukulele in like every single score that I do, even if it's like not related at all. It's just like a little fun thing for me to do. And then, yeah, the other instrument I like to bring is electric bass. And yeah, no matter what the project is, I'm gonna shove electric bass in there somehow.
Yeah, that's great. And do you ever find your you most likely did when you were doing the Filipino film, but do you ever find when the project is not related, your Filipino side merging with your American side in your creative voice? Or do you not feel that big of an influence always?
Hmm, that's a good question. I think I don't think of myself as Filipino by itself. I always thought of it as like together.
Yeah,
Like I'm I'm both because it's interesting in music because I haven't been asked to do something that's like explicitly
yeah.
Filipino. It was always about like Filipino American stories.
Hmm.
But um I think I've definitely been curious about, music and instruments that are from the Philippines. But then it's really interesting because even then, like the Philippines is a mixture of different cultures as well, and a lot of different ethnicities have found homes in the Philippines and like merged and blended their cultures over time. And so I never try and um, I don't write thinking about either identity. I think I just accept that I'm a mixture of things, and like whatever I make is good enough.
And how, because now you've discovered that you feel not only really comfortable, but really excited and interested to keep working in these coming of age stories. So, how do you see that shaping up in the future? How do you want to keep shaping not only your sound, but your career and the stories you take on in your career?
Mhm. I think the cool thing about coming of age is that I am I'm naturally growing older. Um, and coming of age is, like typically about your early mid 20s and figuring out life. And now that I am no longer in my mid 20s, like that's a it's something I haven't really thought about, to be honest, and it's a really good question. I think where I stand on that topic now is that whatever I'm going through in life, the more that I live, I think the more that I can connect to the stories that I'm working on. And as I get older, I can really connect to a wider variety of projects. I know when I was younger, I I never I remember like I couldn't connect with one of the stories because I had never experienced like a friend or a family member dying, and I'm really fortunate for that. And in that moment, I was like, that's going to happen to me someday. And one day I'm going to truly understand like what it feels like to lose someone in my life. But until then, like all I can do as an artist is just tap into like a similar like feeling or experience. And and now I guess I'm just like the more that I live, the more like emotionally that I'll have to like put into my work. I can actually connect with that character with that story. And in terms of like continuing to shape my voice and find projects and stuff, I think just by continuing to do things that I'm excited about, like that will just take care of itself. I don't think I'm like consciously doing it. It's like whatever I'm interested in, whatever comes up that I think is cool, like, you know, just learn on the job and grow along the way.
I think that's great because that approach really backs itself on the idea of storytelling and the stories you choose to help directors tell. That's what ultimately shapes the music you keep making as your career goes on, and always puts
Mhm.
the story first, which I think is something that is really important, if not the most important thing.
Mhm.
Do you find constantly drawing from personal experience when you are scoring, in the sense that do you always try and find ways to connect with the story consciously beyond what the script or the image is telling?
Yeah. There were several times where I felt like the film was actually made for me.
Mm.
And I've told my directors like, "Oh my gosh, I know this film's about a clown, but I just went through a breakup with my mentor and like this film like really hits right now." And like it's really funny when I tell them that because like they're not expecting it, but also it makes the project mean something more for me. Like I'm personally invested, like it's a chance to express myself in that moment. And that's a true story. Like I was working on a film about two clown friends, and one of them is like a mentor to the other clown, and they have like a falling out. And that's exactly what I was going through at that time. And so when I was working on the music, um, I thought about that. I thought about like what it felt to lose someone that you looked up to feel like rejected by that person. And at the same time, I knew that, this is just a movie. Like, no one's going to really know the story about what happened to me in context of the movie. But working on the film that way made the process feel like I was working on something for myself rather than for a client. And I think the end product was was really great. I mean, it's one of those projects that I don't think can happen again. It was like a special moment in time. And like most of my work is not like that. Like I don't tend to have something in my life happen and then it happens in the movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do try and connect beyond the script and the image on screen.
Well, I mean, I definitely think that even if the audience didn't know that the composer could relate deeply to the story, the score definitely shows it
Yeah.
in a deeper level than saying it will ever do. So yeah, I think it's great drawing intentionally drawing from personal experience and trying to build that connection with the story and the characters in order to not only enjoy the process more, but invest yourself as much as you can and make it like the only thing you can think about and see and write for. Uh,
Hmm.
I think that's how special scores are made.
Yeah, me too.
Uh, I wanted to go through some quick fire questions with you for fun.
Hmm.
But before we do, uh, I am attaching the link to your website in the description.
Hmm.
So, would you mind just sharing with everyone if anyone is looking for mentorship or if anyone is interested in working with you, uh, how they can contact you and get to you to have a chat?
Yeah. So currently I'm focused on helping composers find clients. Um, right now I'm still setting things up, but if you want to reach out about that, you can send me an email at cheskamakesmusic@gmail.com. Just in your email, tell me about your music background, send me a link to your music, and share why you need help finding clients. I'm more focused on working with composers who already make great music and just need help connecting with filmmakers that are right for them. I would say it's better if you have some experience, but if you're just getting started, that's okay too. The service does come with some mentorship. So if you need help charging for your work or like connecting with a filmmaker for the first time, like I'm there with you every step of the way. But yeah, Cheska makes music at gmail.com.
Great. Now let's do some quick fire questions to end this chat. The first one, although you might have already answered it, but I'll ask it anyway. What's your favorite instrument to write for?
Ukulele.
Yeah, I guess that was going to be the answer. Who's a composer you admire a lot besides John Williams, so that we can get a different answer from
Yeah,
what you mentioned before?
I like Ruichi Sakamoto.
Great. What's one film you wish you would have had the chance to score? Any film,
Yeah,
anytime.
Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Great. When you're working, do you go for coffee or tea?
Coffee.
And what's your go-to music when you're not scoring?
For a long time, it was Henry Mancini's Latin jazz album called Mr. Lucky.
Do you start a project with the template or without a template?
No template.
No template. And do you build a template for the project as you go on?
If I reuse like the same sounds, like specific setup of sounds, then yes.
What's the most unusual instrument you've ever used, either for your own music or for a project? If there is one.
A
Maybe there is.
melodica. Melodica.
Interesting. When? I'm curious.
My clown movie.
Okay.
Clown movie.
Where can people see that? Because I really want to see it now.
Like, I don't know, because the filmmakers, like, it was their senior capstone project, and USC was like, they were allowing them to put it out into festivals, and normally they don't do that. I have no idea like where the film is right
Okay.
now. Like, if
Okay.
it's online anywhere.
Well,
But
I hope I can see
yeah.
it one day because I'm now really invested in it. What's a film genre you'd love to score after coming of age stories or next to coming of age stories?
I would like to do like a historical, like period drama.
Okay.
Something, yeah,
Do
something
you know which time period?
probably like one of the world wars.
Okay. Okay, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
What's one studio essential you can't live without? First, let's do uh, something like a software or sample library, something within your laptop first.
Simple library. I honestly use Logic stock instruments a lot. Like, I really like it.
Yeah.
So I guess just like the whole library of like Logic stock instruments. I really like the pianos and like the synths that they have. Um, and in terms of like not software essentials, I think just my headphones in general because I don't actually have speakers.
Mhm.
I work in a very small like apartment and my partner is like just right down there. So like sometimes I'll be like filming or sorry, like working on music. And if I'm like recording with a mic, um I have to obviously like keep everything in my headphones. But there was like one time where I was recording a take and it was like my best take, but then he flushed the toilet and you could hear it in the recording. I was like, oh, man. And then I was like, you know what? It's a riser. I'm gonna like throw in some pads, just cover it up a little bit, and just like embrace the toilet flush.
And
But
do you have any other studio essentials that aren't like studio essentials, but just something that really is always there next to you when you work?
yeah,
Like,
my notebooks. I have like a bajillion notebooks. Whenever I have an idea about like how to find work or like an idea I have about how to help a composer, I write it down right away.
yeah,
Ideas for content, idea for newsletter,
yeah,
anything.
that's mine.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm addicted to notebooks.
yeah. And I also always have my Batman. I got it on a Comic Con a
That's
couple of
fun.
months ago, and now it's always there watching me, manifesting that I'll do something Batman related one day. Uh, And last one, which is very tedious and very hard, but it's what would be one word to describe your composing style?
Hmm.
Maybe more than one, maybe like two or three.
Happy,
Happy.
sad.
No,
Like yeah,
I think happy is great because it's, I don't know, I feel it's not a word that people use to describe their music too often, especially in film. It's like, what your style? Oh, my style is happy. It it does sound very unique. And listening to music you've done in your website and stuff, it does indeed sound very happy, even when it
yeah.
has elements of drama involved or something else. It has kind of a an upbeat sense to it that
Hmm.
I don't know. It's happy. It makes you smile, so that's great.
Yeah, like I say happy sad because most people I think of me as this very like upbeat positive person, but I actually have like I get sad very easily. Um when I was little, like if my parents were yelling at me, even if like I actually didn't do anything wrong, just the fact that they were yelling at me would like make me cry. So I'm quite sensitive, but like in my music, I find that I write very like I guess melancholic might be a better word rather than happy sad.
Okay.
But when I'm happy, I'm very happy about something, and I think in my music, I have this like childlike sense of happiness where it's like very carefree. But then I think the melancholic, like the sadder kind of music that I write, it it has a way of maturing that happiness. So it's not like, I'm gonna do backflips super happy. It's like I'm happy and grateful, but also I'm kind of sad. Like life is short. Like I don't know.
No, but
That's my music.
I think the fact that you can recognize that you're a sensitive person is important because I think it's a must-have quality for people who want to do music for film, people who want to do music that goes along with the story, people who want to do music. You have to know what you're feeling or what the story is meant to make you feel and how to translate that into sounds. And if it's not easy. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep, sure does come in handy.
um it's been great talking with you, Cheska. We met a while ago when I
Yeah,
was thinking about some mentorship while I was finishing my
yeah,
degree. Um, and it's been great to follow your journey online and take into account and use a lot of the tips you put out there as well, which yeah have come in very handy. Um, and it's been great talking with you today about you, about your music, about this whole experiment, scientific method, peer review results of gig hunting.
yeah.
Uh, so if anyone is interested in working with Cheska or mentorship or the gig hunting kit, is that the official name? Gig hunting kit. Yep.
Mhm.
You can all find everything in her website, which is in the description. So once again, thank you very much, Cheska, and I can't wait to see what you do next.
Yay, me too.